It's becoming more and more common that research is beginning to show that exercise is as effective for depression or even more effective for depression than medication.
I find that interesting because, something that we've known for a long time. It's almost like studies are finally catching up with reality, or studies are finally catching up with fact, and it seems like it does run behind because nobody would argue with this statement is when you go exercise moderately, I should say, you're going to feel better, right?
The body is so unique in its ability to heal. And when we exercise, it's like the body has its own pharmacy. It creates its own pain relievers. It creates its own anti-inflammatories.
Yep.
So why wouldn't it create its own antidepressants?
What's funny, and this is probably going back 25 years ago, I had read this little tiny study, and it was comparing exercise against Prozac. Honest to goodness, and I laughed about it when I read this recent one because in that study it showed that the metabolism of the adrenaline, that precursor to cortisol, was massively tied to just daily exercise. And so they were using this study layout where they had people that were just taking Prozac and people that were exercising. They were sort of tracking their level of adrenaline. Not the best layout, but it sort of proved a point, didn't it?
Absolutely. If you think about what is actually in some of the pharmaceutical antidepressants, they are helping the body use more of what it actually makes
Yeah.
on its own, like norepinephrine and epinephrine, which are antidepressants. So
Yeah.
if exercise has been shown to be more effective than medication for treating depression, doesn't it make sense that we should be putting that in place as one of the primary things that we should do every day?
Well, it's common sense because you got this thing called dopamine. Everybody knows there's such a thing as a runner's high or a exercise high or even a business deal high. That's dopamine. It's interesting that epinephrine and norepinephrine are downstream metabolites of dopamine. So science again is confirming what we already knew, that what you do to bring about joy or satisfaction or sort of achievement is something that's going to help your mood. And it's interesting, I think people today, instead of getting to the doctor and getting an antidepressant, the doctor should probably go take them out for a long walk. If that would be possible, I think we'd find some resolve in that.
So if we give the body what it needs, which would be a good dose of exercise, it could be much more effective in combating one of the main reasons why people go to the doctor, and that's that blue mood, that
Yeah,
thing called depression.
it's fascinating, depending on what study you look at, 1 in 4 Americans right now around our country are on an antidepressant. 1 in 4. And you think about what does that do? We don't think about the congruent nutrient pullouts, right? And what that means for the person. Do they become dependent upon it? It depends, right? Can you get them off of it? That depends also. But what about doing something to prevent having to get them on it in the first place? And I think, I know you'd probably agree, is that why is medication the first line option when common sense should be the first line option? And common sense tells me, hey, get off your backside and go exercise.
And help your body make and do what it should for itself instead of asking for a pill for an ill. That's
Yeah.
just a Band-Aid. And exercise gets blood, oxygen, and nutrients to the tissue, as well as helping the system make its own antidepressants.
Well, and even today, we exercised before we came here, for the show, right? So we do
We
it
did.
every day, and we've been doing it probably every day. I was thinking back, I don't know if this is insanity, I don't know what this is, but I was thinking for the
Dedication.
last 40 years, I probably only missed a handful of days, and maybe 2 handfuls at the most.
Or
40
less.
years, and I track it. Last year, I don't think I missed maybe a handful of days, maybe 2 or 3, if any. But I've learned over time, from a personal standpoint, that if I don't do something physical or something exercise, I don't feel as good. Like, so whatever that is, it's true. It works for us as well.
So that's the absence of well-being that you experience when you don't exercise.
Well, probably, or the absence of achievement. the absence of getting that thing done that I know is good for me. Maybe the absence of dopamine, right? And so exercise, I think, would be a good way to lean someone towards a better addiction, instead of addiction to, food or drama or trauma or negativity, which, hey, many people are today. But the bottom line is, I think people should move more, sit less. And the only day you don't move is the day you're dead. And the only day you don't exercise is the day you're dead. I mean, if we kind of had that mentality, we'd probably be a little bit better off.
And how many days a week should we exercize?
Well, I think it's like every day.
For every day
Like
that you
every
want to
day.
eat,
Yeah,
you need
it's
to
just,
exercise.
I mean, I just think it's every day because, the body is made to ambulate, to move. Like our legs are made to do more than sit over a chair, and our arms are made to do more than just do a fork curl with or a spoon curl with some cereal. No, we're made to move. And got this nice plants here, our hunter-gatherer ancestors had to move to go gather that kind of stuff. They had to reach, they had to dig, they had to walk to find those things. And so, interestingly enough, we have everything handy for us today, but we don't move enough. And so I think you said it a long time ago, the lack of exercise is really the new smoking.
Yes, sitting is the new smoking. It's kind of like if you're sitting too much, you become toxic. Toxicity can be a reason for blue mood or depression. So more
Yeah.
exercise does a body good. More exercise gets that oxygen, nutrients to the brain, is going to get rid of that crazy thing we call depression.
So the long and short is I'm not surprised at the study at all, and you shouldn't be surprised either because we need to move more, sit less. And if we do that, we'll find ourselves, at least from a brain or depression standpoint, feeling a whole lot better. The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right, and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does 2 things. Number 1, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Can a shake transform your life?
Well, if it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
Yes.
consistency is key, and there's not a better, simpler way to begin your change.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.